Today we'll be taking an overnight train from New York City all the way to Chicago. This train is going to take us over 1,000 miles through 5 different states, and this is all in economy seats. We don't have a bed, we don't have a private car, anything like that. So this will be a journey, to say the least. Now this train route doesn't make any sense economically or time-wise. To be completely honest with you, I'm not sure why they even have it. 19 hours versus 2 hours on a plane for relatively the same price. In fact, sometimes you could probably find a flight for cheaper than the train. But the reason we wanted to give this a try is because during our year in Europe, we used trains almost exclusively. We would take flights from here and there, but for the most part, we were traveling by train. And in Europe, it's just a different experience. You know, the trains are really nice, they're always on time. There's a lot of trains available, there's a lot of options. But this is by far the longest journey we have ever taken. The second longest was from Bucharest, Romania to Sofia, Bulgaria, which took about 9 hours. And that one felt really long, so that's why we're nervous about this, which is over double the time. We're also not completely sure how train travel in America is, because we've taken trains from Chicago to Milwaukee, but that's like an hour and a half. We've never been on a longer term train, especially one that makes a lot of stops. Now the other factor to this equation too is that there's a big storm moving in from the northeast.
Fast-moving nor'eastern could drop as much as a foot of snow in some areas.
So we're hoping we get out of New York City in time so we can get back to the Midwest and get home. Let the adventures begin.
Just came out of the ground and we're still in Manhattan actually, but almost all the way to the top. We might just follow the Hudson River all the way to Albany.
As we made our way along the Hudson River and away from the big city, my mind began to wander while taking in the scenery. It started to dawn on me how much of my own country I still have yet to explore. New York and Chicago are our 2 grand metropolises in America, and my love of urban settings has led me to spending lots of time in both of them. I know both cities very well, and I'm always excited when I get the opportunity to revisit. But ever since our international travels began, I've developed a new curiosity about places that are perhaps more off the beaten path. Given the eventful history of the region, I'm sure there are hundreds of smaller towns along the eastern seaboard that are definitely worth exploring. When it comes to charming small towns and stunning landscapes, Europe is almost undeniably the world leader. However, given the vastness of the USA, I'm more intrigued than ever to discover what hidden gems I may have been looking over all of these years. We've reached the capital city of the state of New York. This is called Albany. This is a bit of a longer stop. It's about an hour stop because they're actually connecting this train, which came from Boston, to our train. So it's nice to be able to get out and stretch a little bit, take a little break. We're just gonna take the opportunity to use a nice bathroom, hopefully, and just walk around a little bit because this next part is gonna be the long stretch. Albany isn't necessarily in the direction of Chicago even. We just came up so we can do a straight line across the bottom of 2 of the Great Lakes. First Lake Erie and then Lake Michigan. So we're about 3 hours in. It's not too bad. I think that, so it's 6:16. We left at like 3:40, so less than 3 hours. So far we're feeling good, but obviously there's a lot more to go. I think if we're able to get some work done, maybe listen to a podcast or something, and then get at least 5 or 6 hours of sleep would be nice. But it sucks that we can't recline the chairs or anything. The one thing I'm very happy about though is there's a lot of leg room. That's my biggest struggle on planes. It's when my knees are literally like jammed in between the seats in front of me. This one's actually pretty nice. You can stretch out and just kind of luxuriate a little bit. But yeah, we're in it for the long haul, and spirits are still high.
Well, unlike Max, I've already dipped into my smacks. So I'm definitely gonna have to ration that. But the train from Boston does have a cafe that's connected to it. So that'll be fun to check out as we get going. I'm a little concerned with the temperature in there. It is so hot. And honestly, not the most comfortable. Even though the seats are pretty spacious and like Max said, lots of leg room, it's just, you know, it's not a bed, let's just say that. We've only been on the train for about 2.5 hours, and just thinking about how much time we have still yet to go, really try not to think about that.
I never really pictured myself visiting Albany, New York, so cheers to new experiences.
Even though it says we're not leaving until 7:05, that's about 30 minutes from now, I'm still terrified it's gonna leave without us.
We even got confirmation from the conductor that we're not leaving for another 45 minutes, but just something about leaving the platform is a little nerve-wracking. The fact that Albany is the capital of New York State is really interesting and just a good representation of how different it is, capital cities here versus Europe. Because in most states, it's actually not the biggest city that's the capital. New York City is so much bigger than Albany. In fact, New York City is the biggest city in the country, but it is not the capital city. Albany is the capital. It's not true with all states. There are some where the biggest city is the capital, but I would say an overwhelming majority is just like a town you never heard of if you've never been to the US. In Europe, when you're in France, the capital is Paris. When you're in Germany, the capital is Berlin. When you're in England, the capital is London. I feel like it's always the big main city, but it's not necessarily the case here. And even our actual capital of the country, Washington, DC, I don't think it's even in the top 5 population-wise. So yeah, just an interesting fact to keep me busy in Albany for 45 minutes.
We just got back from the restroom and we noticed that our engine is gone. So hopefully it comes back soon. But this is so cool that they link up these 2 routes just as a more cost-efficient way to get from the east side of the country to the central. I'm curious how they're gonna do this link up. We still haven't seen this other train move yet. So maybe the engine is going to pick up them and bring them over here. I don't know.
So there goes the Boston section of the train. I think they're gonna just pull it all the way around and connect it to this car. As you can probably tell, we don't know anything about trains. We're just fascinated by this process. This right now is our boarding call.
Passengers should proceed to track 1.
Let's buckle down. There's a lot of stops. I wasn't expecting that.
Thank you for choosing Amtrak.
A lot of stops in Ohio. Quick update. It's been about 4 hours since Albany. We're still in the state of New York. That's how east to west it is. We're gonna be in Buffalo in I think like an hour. And the lights are dimmed in the cabin now, and I think people are starting to wind down a little bit. It's about 10:30 p.m. I think I'm gonna watch a little bit of my Milwaukee Bucks. They're on the West Coast tonight, so late game. But I'm hoping to sleep a little bit by like midnight. We have some melatonin gummies that might help, and
Wait a minute.
No, it's okay. I don't think it's
No.
I don't think it's gonna go back that.
Sydney took her contacts off, so we were definitely in the winding down process. So I think we'll catch you in the morning, and hopefully we're on the west side of Ohio by then. It is officially morning. We got a little bit of sleep. It wasn't too bad, but I was never able to sleep consistently. I kept waking up. We went through downtown Cleveland. I guess it took a while for us to get through Toledo, but we were sleeping, so we didn't really experience that. But there was some hold up with some other freight coming through. And now we're just outside of Bryan, Ohio, which is near the Indiana-Ohio border. So we only have about 3.5 hours to Chicago. It definitely went a little quicker, the fact that we were able to fall asleep. The one thing I will say is these cabin lights on the top, they never went out, so it was hard to actually kind of shut off. I had to basically put my hat over my face like that. But all things considered, not too bad, and we should be pulling into Chicago in about 3.5 hours.
I like that one too. You have please.
We've arrived safely at Chicago's Union Station, a place that Sydney and I are pretty familiar with. We actually lived in Chicago for 4 years. The train ride was okay. It's just, it was way too long, and we didn't get very good sleep, so we were a little cranky. We're here, we made it, 19-hour train ride. It actually ended up being over 20 hours because there's a big delay in Toledo, but we made it, and we've officially checked off the box of a train ride from New York City to Chicago.